Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Is it necessary for Hindus to be vegetarian from Lakhani or Hindu Academy? I believe it's Lakhani that's talking. Yes. Okay. So I know I didn't say arguments, but I've had people tell me about this, and I'm curious to everyone who watches this video. Hopefully, you give me your insight on this. To me, it doesn't matter whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or omnivore or carnivore. Um, because in my eyes, it's all the same. You're eating a living organism, regardless of whether we understand the concept of its suffering or not. So, what I mean by this is that when we look at animals, obviously, when we cause pain, we can see that they suffer. But plants, you don't see that. But does that really mean that the plants does not suffer? So that's one argument for me. And I'm very much open to having my mind changed, but obviously I've thought about this, so it's going to be kind of hard because the way I think is I create an argument. Okay, vegetarian, veganism, carnivore, omnivore, all the same. Okay, let me destroy my argument. So the reason why I guess it's all the same because I see all life as equal value, meaning that what is it? An animal and a plant are the same. And another thing, so they're the same. They have a right to live, much like us as humans. And if you say, oh, once you eat human beings, that's what do you call it? Cannibalism. And I don't believe there's animals out there who eat their own kind for regular nutrition. Now, obviously, there are people out there who have eaten did cannibalism to survive, but outside of survival, normal, diets. I don't know if there's an animal out there who does that, and if so, it's very, very few. It's an exception and not the rule. So you can't say, well, if you eat meat and you think all meat's the same, then why not eat humans? Well, there's a reason why we don't eat humans. It's because no real animal on Earth is purely cannibal. We have done again. Humans have done it for survival purposes, for extreme survival purposes. But outside of that, I don't believe there is any animal out there who does it. If there is, again, it's the exception, not the rule. So that's my argument against that. If that is your point of view, I want to make this all into a video so I can have a pretty clear argument for those who wants to make their argument for this too. And again, I'm very much open. It's just that you have to make a very good argument, though. Next thing is the understanding of suffering. So animals, obviously, we can see that they suffer. They have facial expressions, etc. Kind of like humans. We have facial expressions and stuff. And well, plants don't have facial expressions. But does that mean it doesn't suffer? So this is my argument for that one. Is that okay? Well, you say that we can see animals suffer, but we don't see plants suffer. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't suffer. You know what I'm saying? So I do believe plants do suffer, but maybe in a way that we don't understand it. So again, if you punch a leaf enough times, and eventually you'll see that leaf wither and die. It will literally die. So it does suffer. What do you say? Mortality. Kind of like, I guess, if you constantly crush this arm, eventually it's going to wither and die, much like a leaf on the plant. But because the plant can continue to expand and grow in different limbs and stuff, unlike our biology, the plants tend to have that. I think starfish can kind of do that too, where it can literally lose a limb and it'll grow back another limb, and I think that limb could grow an entire starfish. So animals can grow back stuff. So my counter argument for, well, we see animals suffer and plants don't suffer, is that maybe we don't understand plants. Maybe plants do in fact suffer. It's just we don't understand it that way. Again, the proof of that is being like you just constantly beat on one single leaf, the leaf will eventually die and wither, or like a long stem, and you beat on that one stem and there's other stems, that one stem will entirely die. Kind of like a limb for us, where if you constantly crush this limb, eventually it's going to just wither and die because it's constantly being beaten on. Um, the next argument I've heard, I'm sorry if this is too long, but I kind of want to get this out there because the video is kind of short, but also to kind of hopefully bring up arguments, maybe to change your mind or make you think, or maybe you have better arguments against what my point of view on this, and please do leave it in the comments below. The other argument I remember is essentially kind of like a second-class citizen, where humans are revealed higher, then the next highest is animals, and then the lowest is plants. I don't like that because it's seeing life as different values. So then when we have deities, which is going to be a higher value than humans, so therefore human is disposable in a sense. Because plants are, in a sense, disposable to humans. We can eat them. They don't suffer. They're second class to a degree. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying about that. So, and this kind of promotes mistreatment because they're not equal to in value. So, if again, this goes back to the suffering part in my second argument. So I don't like seeing living organisms necessarily as second-class citizens. Can you call me a hypocrite for some of these things? Absolutely, for sure. It's hard to be 100% pure in that sentence, in that sentence. Sorry, in those worldviews, just because you will end up stepping on an ant, or you will end up killing some plants by just walking out in the grass field, perhaps. Is the intent that matters the most. So, whether you intend to or not, hopefully you don't intend to kill things when you walk across the field, but you're going to have to walk across the field regardless. So just, you don't have, is it Jainism, I believe, that they are very particular about, like, I believe sweeping in front of them so they don't kill anything. It's a bit extreme. I don't expect, people to live like that. That's just way too extreme. But very similar in the sense that obviously we don't intend to harm anything, but we do harm to live. Sure, you can choose what to eat. I'm not going to stop you from ever doing that. It's 100% your choice to be vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, omnivore. I'm not going to stop you. Biggest thing is when we cause this, hopefully we reduce the suffering. To live, something has to die, and during the death process, there is a bit of suffering. And when you say you remove the vegetable or whatever, the plant, well, it's going to die. And that's a very slow death in a sense. Wow, going really long for this one. There is one thing, though, I will say, that you can kind of make a very good argument for. I believe it's a fruitarian, I believe. Essentially, is a person who eats nothing but fruit. Just fruit. The reason why being this one might be the exception is because fruit is meant to be eaten. It is literally the plant saying, hey, eat this, all of it, including the seed, that when you go poop in nature, it's got fertilizer with the seed. So fruitarian, or I think that's what they're called, is kind of the exception to where you're literally eating what you're supposed to eat. Fruit is meant to be eaten. Whereas vegetables, I do believe some vegetables die. Obviously, animals have to die. But yeah. So hopefully there's more arguments to that. I do want to create a video dedicated to this kind of stuff. I just don't know how I'm going to word it, along with AI and consciousness. I definitely got to write not a script, but like my ideas down, my counter arguments to the things that I've thought of, and to what people have said as well, so that I can hopefully have an all-encompassing video for vegetarian, carnivore, omnivore, vegan, and then AI and consciousness with human consciousness and stuff. Anyways, let's go get started. I spoke quite a bit.
The Hindu religion is not a vegetarian menu. Please be careful. So it doesn't say you must be vegetarian, otherwise the Hindu doesn't say stuff like that. At the same time, the Hindus recognize that animals are too close for comfort. They're almost human, so tearing them up, eating them up, crunching and munching them perhaps is not such a clever idea. And I'm telling you here at Eton, In 50 years' time, I won't be here, but you'll be here. The world will say, what a barbaric idea we were, slaughtering animals, pulling the skins out and eating all the inner parts. It's a barbaric practice. Not now, because it takes time for humanity to become more civilized and recognize this was barbaric exercise. I'm not trying to stop you from eating meat. You do what you feel is right. But I'm saying in days to come, this will be seen as not a very, very civilized practice. But at the moment, majority of Hindus in India, you'll be surprised, eat meat, fish, seafood, or eggs. Majority. So
I mean, I can agree with that for sure. It would seem very much barbaric from, like, if you have an alien being that comes down and are able to, with with chemicals elements or chemicals to constitute any type of food without having to harm anything. I would kind of find out how to get the chemicals though, the chemicals, the materials, the elements, whatever is needed to create this thing. So again, you're still going to have to be harvesting something to eat because there is no there's no consumption of something without something dying essentially, except for fruits. It's about the only thing I can think. Like when you eat a fruit, the tree just doesn't die. When there's vegetables, some vegetables I believe do die. I'm not a herbalist or anything. I don't know for sure, but I do believe either a lot or most or maybe some vegetables do die when you harvest it. It's part of the requirements for that. Um, but yeah, I can completely see what it's saying for sure. Where maybe sometime in the future we're able to use fruits to reconstitute its minerals to be something like a vegetable or even something close to a meat or something. I mean, just constantly grow a whole bunch of fruit trees, or whatever it is.
you'll be surprised, eat meat, fish, seafood, or eggs. Majority. So I'm not saying if eat meat, you're a horrible monster. Hinduism is not a vegetarian menu, so I'm warning you. So don't try and judge people by what they eat or the diet they take on. But in days to come, due to health reasons, due to environmental reasons, due to the issue of suffering with the animals, the suffering the animals go through, humanity will become much more civilized. It will stop eating meat in days to come.
I mean, hey, forever. Like I think they have what's it called, Impossible Burger and all that, where it's a vegetable non-meat meat substitute. I forget what it's called. But the problem with these type of things, though, to make them flavorful, there's a lot of sodium, a lot of spices and stuff, where it just becomes to the point of becoming unhealthy as well. So whoever discovers the magical sauce or magical whatever that we can mimic meat, but it be healthy and taste really good, you will be rich. But it's probably going to be expensive too, to imitate something. But again, yeah. So again, you heard my arguments in the very beginning. Again, I'm very much open-minded, but it's just that I've thought about, whenever you think about a lot of things, when you try to destroy your own arguments, it's hard to, you know, for someone to break that, because if you really thought about something, you should have a very strong, how to say, understanding of it, that to the point where it's difficult to convince you otherwise. Because if you say like, I believe in this, and someone says, oh, because of this, and all of a sudden, oh, yeah, I guess I believe in that. You're right. You know what? I don't believe in my belief. You never really thought about your beliefs. So don't think of whenever someone is not converting immediately, is that it's like, oh, they're not open-minded. No, not at all. Open-mindedness and someone who's thought about their things can exist at the same time. So very much like people who are vegetarians and what they believe in, or vegans. Vegans, I'm way off topic, but there are generally, I do believe there are good existing vegans out there who don't judge, who wish to live that life, and I 100% fully support them for that, if that's what they wish to do. It's very difficult, I will say that, but, good luck. It's my, I wish you the best, honestly. And I hope you don't judge yourself too harshly should you make a mistake, because almost everything, a lot of things involve animals, pesticides, and something along those lines. So, anyways, yeah. Trying to think of what else. Is there anything else to say? So, if you have any arguments, please leave in the comments below. Again, I talked about in the very beginning, where about I see all living organisms in a sense as equals, so all's fair game. You know, a lion will eat almost any kind of meat, human, whatever else, it will eat it. It's just whether it likes it or not. That's the only difference. So it doesn't judge, just tastes it. If it tastes good, it'll eat more of it. Um, I don't. So all things being equal, there's no second-class citizen. A life is a life, in a sense. Uh, Suffering, I do believe plants do suffer. It's just that we don't see it that way. You know, we have this idea that plants don't suffer, but I think they do. I'm not saying I'm a biologist and they in fact suffer, no, but you can kind of see it. It's just that it's because it's a plant, we don't communicate it like animals. They don't communicate like animals. I do believe that they do suffer. Again, the best example I could give is like you just punching a leaf or a long like stem or something. You keep hitting it, eventually it will all die out, but the others will be fine. Much like, again, a limb, where if you constantly break and break and break, this limb will die out because the nutrients and whatnot is constantly being broken and constantly being beaten, and it will eventually just wither and die, much like the plant. So that's my best argument so far. If you can destroy that, by all means, please do. Um, it reproduces like us in some sense. You know, I don't. Again, I said everything in the very beginning. Hopefully, you have some great arguments to convince me otherwise. Again, I'm not sitting there saying we're going to be arguing and it's like, oh my God, you're so wrong. No, I am very much open, and hopefully, you guys are open as well. Um, Hopefully, I can convince you, or hopefully, you can convince me, or maybe we'll come to a stalemate. I don't know. We'll see what the comments say. But let me know if I've made you think about things. I don't. Hopefully, I made you think about things. That at the very most. Hopefully, I don't necessarily convince you just immediately. I want you to really, really think about it. If I'm turning you to what I believe, please second guess it and think about it again. Do not just believe in anything I say. Most important thing ever in this channel or in life in general is not just to believe, by all means. Alright, and let me know if I made you start thinking about things differently. You know, even if you do think differently and you still choose to eat the vegetarian, vegan life, by all means, please do. Just because I convince you know what, you're right. All life should be equal and sacred, but I will still be a vegan. I'm like, hell yeah. By all means. But then, but of course, that means you can't judge other people for their choices in life. Of course, the biggest thing is whether they let the animals suffer. I have no control over what animals die and whatnot. All I can do is just go to the grocery store because I don't have a farm or anything like that. So the choices we can make. So obviously, if the farm causes suffering, a lot of suffering or whatever, and then we can choose to buy from a different farm or something like that. Anyways, it's my reaction to, is it necessary for Hindus to be vegetarian? If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up the side down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.